Let thy soul be awakened.
All right. I'm really bad at intros because you're the only guest now I ever have. So,
I love that.
welcome to the Mystical Artist podcast. I'm Remington Donovan, and our annual tradition of having Stephanie Simbari on begins now. Stephanie is known all over the world. Comedian, actress, now mom, and she has a big Substack, Stephanie Simbari. And I used to go on your old podcast, That's So Retrograde, and every year we talked about the numbers, and you ended that project a few years ago. So it's fun to continue the tradition. So, Stephanie, welcome back. And we're coming into a 10 year.
I just love that we've like truly kept this tradition going for the past, now it's going to be 5 years.
Yeah, that first of all, amazing. I can't believe we actually recorded in person in Vermont last
I
year.
know. I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, I wish I was in Vermont right now.
Yeah, well, it's 3 degrees, but there's something like you do just when you're here, you just embrace the cold, you
You
know?
know,
So,
someone really smart once told me there's no bad weather, only bad clothing.
I saw a similar meme, but it was just no bad weather. But yeah, I agree. And I don't the cold is fine. I mean, it's more you'll hear me, kvetch when it's like, 85 but 94% humidity and I'm like, "Oh God."
I know.
But yes, I mean it is enchanted winter wonderland and it's warming that you have ties here, old connections and a lot of childhood. So that was a lot of fun. I'm gonna First of all, do you mind if I use you as a test subject to see how things were flowing for the year? And then, of course, your personal number. But we last time were ending the 8 year, going into a 9 year, which I describe as sort of the filter. The nine is subtlety, it's sophistication, it's a limitless energy, but it's more sort of behind the scenes. It's almost invisible. Again, think subtlety. And now that it's a very dynamic switch in which we go into the 10 year. And I do want to make it clear because you'll probably bring a lot of other listeners into this. Some systems will say that we're going into a 1 year, but
Hmm.
the numerology I practice, we're actually going into a 10 year. And 10 is about radiance and glory and your sort of noble queen and king ability. And so where the nine is subtlety, quiet, sophistication, this is like loud and proud and large and in charge. But it is the 9 year that I call the year of the penultimate stop before your manifestation. And so I know a lot of people
Mm.
love to say, I'm always like, oh, the 9 year, it's the ending, it's the ending, it's the end of a cycle. But it's really the ending, and that the full end is everything you've been working on. And actually, everything you've been working on for about the last 9 years, almost 10 years since
Hmm.
2020, I mean, 2016 is culminates into the 10 year. So the nine is like where all of on the tree of life, all the energy comes right to that last stop, nine, which is called the filter or the foundation. And that filter is also your subconscious. It's the moon, it's our deepest inner parts, our deepest inner self.
Mm.
And then through that lens, everything that you're trying to manifest, all your goals, everything comes to fruition in the 10 year. And 10 on the tree of life is known as the fruit of the tree. So
Mm.
it's like where we bear fruit. So for everyone listening and for you, think about goals and honestly go big. And if you've been paying attention, I've been speaking a lot about this nine energy and just it's called the purifying intelligence. And it's interesting because this is why I wanted to start. And I think you've been having a personal 5 year, which is also the edit, right? It's the sword, it's the clearing, but the nine is the purifying. So it really is kind of a setup year. I mean, of course, every year we could do great things. We could, launch huge projects, whatever the case is. But for you personally, where have you found you've either been purifying, clearing the way, creating the setup, like the launch pad, and 10 is the rocket, is the launch. Does that make sense?
Totally. It's really good to hear that too, because um the shedding and the purification has been so challenging in unexpected ways. Like, I mean, I think starting this year with coming back to California and having a lot of energy and a lot of vision for what I wanted to create, and then kind of like, this sounds fucked up to say this, but getting sidelined by becoming pregnant again. Um,
Right. Yeah, and you're pregnant.
yeah, so obviously it's like a gift, and I'm so grateful and I'm happy that I'm having a daughter, and like it's gonna be amazing, and my son will have a sibling, and then we can like never do this again. It's great. But
You'll have the boy and girl. You're just like you're on the same pattern as Gina and I.
yeah,
Because isn't the due date February
yeah, it's like I think isn't Isaiah's birthday February 6th?
5th? Yeah.
Yeah, that's like
So
when she's supposed to come
wait, and then your son, he was born towards the end of
in
February,
the end of
right? Or
February. Yeah.
is it March? Okay, so well, can I just say one thing? You know what
Yeah.
that tells me?
Yeah.
Clearly, you're in a cycle of preparing for hot girl summer, and then around spring, you keep getting pregnant because that's
That's
what
what
happened with
happens.
Gina.
That's literally what happens. I'm
Because
always saying never try to get too hot because you'll fucking get
you'll get
pregnant.
pregnant. That's because both of our kids are born in Feb. All of our kids will probably be born in February at this point, minus like, sure, come a little early or whatever. But I was like kind of embarrassed. Sorry. And I'll go right back to you. But I was like, does it say about the cosmos that we were supposed to have like two Aquarius children? Or is it just our hot girl summer life
No, I always say we're
cycle?
horny in March. Like I don't know what, or in May. Like I don't know what to
May, right?
say. I don't know why we're so horny in May. Like it's so weird. It's funny that we all have the same season too. Like we're all
Right. Yeah. But maybe it's a Scorp. We're both Scorpios. I don't know. Maybe. But
we're just like feeling.
congratulations. And I did see it in a reading.
You told Tyler and he told
Yeah.
me, and I was like, fuck that shit.
Well, it was weird too because I saw it in his reading.
Yeah, not
I
in
saw
mine.
it in the dad, but amazing. Congratulations. I know he's super psyched. He messaged me and it was just great. So, but yeah, go on because you were dealing with what can be the most sensitive, activating, and sometimes harsher energies because of the five. But I knew that, I know your story a bit, but continue because you're just a really great living example of the flow of these numbers, whether you're even aware of it or not at times.
I do think that I reflect on, even if I don't know the numerology exactly, like when I look at the astrology, I'm like, it is crazy how synced I am with like actual cosmic timing. Like it's blows my mind sometimes, is even more why I believe in these things, because it just like it is like it's fully embodied in my reality. But anyway, so getting pregnant kind of like shifted the scope of what I thought was going to happen.
Right.
And also like deepened my relationship to motherhood. Like, everyone knows, everyone who's had a child knows, whether you're a man or a woman, that your entire like life uh focus and identity completely shifts, and like a lot of things that you kind of once identified with start to dissolve. And it's a transformational time, and it's funny because having one child, like I went through that, but because we were traveling and I wasn't really trying to ground into any type of reality, I didn't really maybe even necessarily feel it as much. But then like coming back and then getting pregnant like so quickly right away, that it really has been like this deep letting go of all previous iterations of self.
Well,
And
100%.
and very much like me, like my soul is always on a double track where it's like, I have my moon in Cancer and like my midheaven in Capricorn. So it's always like I want to be very successful and I want to have like a beautiful blossoming home life. And so it's like these two things are like running parallel, and being pregnant makes it really difficult to like channel and activate that like ambitious work side of me. And so I've kind of had to like release, even though I'm ideating and I'm creating, and from the outside, people are always like, you're doing so much. But like, I feel like this year I've just been like letting go of all the things that I thought I was supposed to be doing, and like the identity that I've been cultivating, or just like living in. And it's only now towards the end of this year that I'm like, oh, I think I kind of understand what I'm actually stepping into and like what I'm letting go of. And I don't even think it'll be totally clear until like the beginning of next year.
Well, that is, I mean, that's perfect. And you actually inadvertently chose great years and your personal numerology to do that, because
If
the
I chose,
nine,
you mean just being horny and
just,
fertile and
yeah,
accidentally pregnant?
exactly. Just be, again, Scorpio, right?
Yeah, my
Well,
soul
just
knew.
the nine is a good time to sort of try to reshift, find your place. It's like the finishing touches, right? So the purifying intelligence is more like sorting things out, whether it's through your subconscious, that's the obvious way, but it's really about like honing everything in, sort of very sophisticated details, like your inner wiring, whether it's nervous system, your psychological sort of reframe, while just clearing away the things that don't serve you and trying to just clear out the fog or the weeds so you can see the path forward. And sounds like you're already starting to see that, because the thing is, the 10 energy is really the time to shine, to go big. So all of those sort of high ambitious Capricorn midhaven type of goals are going to say, okay, now it's time to like sort of step out. I just made a video, kind of like come out of like your cave that you've been in, and so whatever sort of professional work, 10 is great for that, but also, having it'll all sort out, especially after having the baby, and she's due early in the year,
The other thing that
so,
I've been thinking
and
about
you're
too is
having a
like,
6 year, that means next year, and that is about creating more harmonious community and connections, deeper connections with a child, for example. Like I was having been, I'm finishing my personal 2 year, which is about fulfillment. And I became a dad to a girl this year.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, I didn't plan it that way. It's just, this was a year for me to focus on home, family. We sort of build our launch pad. You've been over our house, and that upstairs of the garage now is a full studio,
So
I'm
cool.
recording from that. And I think it was just an empty shell of a 2x4 type of room with bugs. And
No, it was nicer than that.
well, now it's amazing, but now the rest of the house feels old, but it's a setup. So it just knowing that you've started the podcast, the Substack, um, next year, and after the baby, you really can move into shining even more. Like this wasn't a spotlight year.
No, and it felt very like, the other thing I've been thinking about, just to like go back for a second, is like the last like I mean, I guess it's gonna be 5 years. I'll just say 4 years, at the end of 2025, but like it's like so much loss and change, and also blessings happened for me, where it was like COVID craziness, then my mom dying, then meeting Tyler, then having a baby. It's like all of these things happen in such rapid succession. And even though like I think like very adept at processing, as Scorpio, and just I have like a big machine and a high capacity for those
We can
things.
rebirth and change and adapt.
Yeah, but it's still like I don't think that I was even fully conscious of how much I needed to really metabolize. And like, I spent so much time talking about like the loss of the show and the friendship and then my mom, but it's like these things take time
I
to
agree. Yeah.
process and work through, even if I wasn't stuck in any one place necessarily. It's still like really deep crevices of my heart and soul were like ripped out and transformed and also then like blasted open. But it's like it was a lot. And I've just been thinking and feeling lately how, and I think it's interesting that I'm having a daughter now too, where it's like, okay, now I feel like I'm finally landing in um like the exit of all of that, right? Like her coming in and this new year coming is like it does feel like a very fresh start from all of that rapid transformation that was like on every end of the spectrum.
Well, yeah, and I know, I mean, plus, yeah, your mother's death, but when I saw you last year too, you were still sorting out like where do you want to live? Like even
Hmm.
Vermont was an option, which we were still voting that that would happen just so we
I
had
mean,
more
we're
cool
still
friends
like, where do we
here.
want to live? Even though we're back in California, we're not like,
Wait, but I forgot. Are you in LA or weren't you thinking Santa
we're in like the
Barbara?
West Valley, so we're like pretty far
I
out of the city.
Yeah, that's probably feels kind of good. Even though
It
I mean
definitely
I
feels
love
good.
LA, but I was back in LA in September and I was super excited. I did a teacher's training and I just sort of went sort of quietly and that it worked out for me to just go. And then I had like a couple days. So I was like, I'm just gonna imbibe in everything I loved about LA, like the restaurants and stuff that I miss. And I gotta say, it was nice, but then I was like sitting around in traffic and I was like, oh yeah, like if you don't live here and then just visiting, I was like, cool. I got a good. I went to like I love like La Escuela. I probably went to Erewhon 3 times a day, and like got all my little fixes. And the coffee shops are really good. And but really, I have amazing community and friends. But it's sort of like it'll always have a special place, but not being in it. I don't know. It's just the transition. Like I'm just saying, maybe being a little further away probably feels good, but you have that option, you know?
It's definitely cool to be able to like go in, but I do like being outside of it. But
Uh,
I feel like we're not like jazzed to like raise our kids here, you know, and like SoCal just has it has an energy of pressure around it that like I don't know why that is. There's just something that exists here that isn't like, oh, this is my dream for where I like live my years with my babies, you know, like I think we're here now to reactivate a certain work thing, but then hopefully it can also be like liberated.
it's a
Um,
very activating place. Well, you're still in this, you know, what's interesting is the nine energy. Whenever I talk about it in general, it's like the human gestation period is 9 months, right?
mhm.
But like it doesn't end there. It really ends with the baby being born, and the 10 years is like the birth of the baby.
Yeah.
Whatever. So this is what I'm saying. And look back though, if you look back to the last 9 year, 20, was that 26 or no, 2016.
Hmm.
If you can remember like what became sort of a setup, what opened for you in 2017 or the things that opened for you now. I know for
Hmm.
me, it was when 2016 things were being put into place and I was doing the work where I then that's even when the first time I hung out with Gina and we're married now was in 2016. So all the things I really wanted, like a real relationship, like a marriage, and just sort out what the hell am I doing with my life, my career or whatnot. You know, I had that was all a year. I had like the little movie thing come out, but I was like, I don't even know. I don't even want to push that. Just didn't feel I didn't think I could do what I was doing. And then the start of the 10 year, it was all, everything got put into place and everything started taking off ever since then.
Yeah.
And for all of us and everyone listening, start to look at that cycle and think, huh, I mean, do you remember anything about 2016 that was that led up to where you're at now or 2017 even?
I mean, 2017 was like a really good year for my career.
Me too.
2016, 2015, 2016 felt like they were building and setup years for sure.
When
Like
did you start retrograde? When did
we
that
started
start?
it in it launched in 2015, but we didn't
Okay.
really start. I think 2017 was also like the year that I did like many different TV shows and was like working a lot, and the podcast was like building, and I think that might have been the year that we recorded with Guru Jagged actually.
Yeah, I know I was on it. I think it was for probably the end of 2018 because it was for the 3 year 2019.
Yeah, but like it
Unless
was
it
like
was the 10 year, because I just remember there was an article that came out about the boss year, but maybe I spoke on the 10 year too. Now I'm losing track, man.
yeah, well, every year before COVID seems like just 1 year to me. I don't realize
Yeah,
that.
and every year after COVID, it's like one
Totally. I'm
year.
like, time has just like completely rearranged itself
I
in this
think we
really
need
wild
to
way.
we should change the like, BC or AD. We should just be like BC before COVID,
Yeah, that's what I always
AC
do.
after COVID.
I literally
Like
do that. That's how I call it.
because we all really uprooted our lives, saw splits of, I mean, you had a big split, and then COVID's what I mean, Gina being pregnant ultimately was the bottom line of moving across the country into Vermont,
Yeah.
but COVID really activated all of that,
I think just thinking back
for
to
us.
2017 and 2016, what I really remember more than like the specifics of exactly what happened is exactly what you're describing. It felt like aligned with what's happening now too, which is interesting, which is that I felt like at that time I was stepping into a new place of like power and alignment.
Yeah.
And I feel that now too. I think that like I remember when So Retrograde was kind of starting to take off, I felt like I was really finding my specific zone of how I could use my talent for comedy and like my love of performing. Like it felt like it was like synthesizing.
Right.
And this year I've been like questioning a lot of like, what are the gifts that I possess that I actually want to like use and share moving forward, and what feels the best to me internally. And so I've
Yeah.
been having like a similar kind of like, how do I wrangle certain powers to like make it make sense in a next in like the adult iteration of like what that felt like. And
The
I've tried.
mother, not the maiden. Our midwife is like, you go from maiden to mother.
I know that's like the
That
big thing
trip,
that the birth word, but it's like
the birthing world.
it's not even for me like motherhood for me doesn't feel like now this is my identity and I want my brand to be motherhood, which I see like a lot of people doing it. That's not, and I have no judgment, but that's not what I'm like called to. It's more about what has motherhood done for me,
Right.
grounded me, fulfilled me, made me have to be so much more clear and efficient with my time and the time that I spend with myself and honest and connected, and like what has that done for me as a human that then can allow me to share that in a new way moving forward. Like I feel a lot of everything 2017 is like I'm a girl and now I'm like a full like woman who has a family.
Well, do you remember that first reading I did for you years ago? I still, for some reason, I remember that vision, and you had like a belt that had all these toys attached
Oh
to it.
yeah, that was so
And it
weird.
was like you had to let go of all of those toys, but it was like that part of that sort of child part of you, and that was years before having a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
parenting, I feel like changes everything and doesn't change anything all at once. Like I kept thinking, what's going to happen? Like the second my son, our first kid, Isaiah, for the second he's born, like I'm going to notice all of a sudden everything's different, and I'm like, oh, I'm just me, and here I am, and there's a kid here.
Yeah, but I mean also you guys have you're like an adult parent, and same. Like I feel like there's a blessing in becoming a parent when you're a little bit older because you already are more just like grounded in yourself. But also
True.
like, and Tyler and I work on this too, which is that we're trying to set our, and I saw this with you guys when I was in Vermont, is like we're trying to set our lives up and to make our family an integrated part of that, not make it a separate part of that, you know? So it's like with you like working from home and working with Gina and having
Right.
you guys are a team that creates a world together. So you don't have to live two separate lives. That's how I feel too. Like we moved into this house. There's a warehouse in the back of the property. So Tyler turned it into a gym so that he could
Oh,
do his
amazing.
job. People could come here, but he could still be here.
Yeah, I think that what we'll be seeing on a collective level, and for everyone listening, for you as an individual, the 10, the themes of 10 will be about your own empowerment, your own autonomy, your own courage. And in on the tree of life, it's called Malkuth, and that translates, that's Hebrew, that translates as the kingdom. So it really is a year, and it's the earth realm. So it's where everything becomes manifested. And
Mm,
so really it's like it connects to the divine crown, Kether, which means the crown. So it's like, sure, it's our crowns, if you will, but that's really the 10th gate, or the crown chakra, that opening where set up the stage. We create the kingdom that becomes the conduit of this higher energy, which is exactly what you're saying. Whether you do it
mm,
from home or not, but that's been really important to Gina and I. And I think in the 10-year, access your own, and I'm saying this for everybody listening, but for speaking to both of us too, like this is a time where you really will feel confident in who you are, sort of what you're doing. And we're kind of past the time. We will be past the time of trying to figure out the meaning or trying to overanalyze it. Just start creating, start doing, start trying to live large, whatever that means for you. And the things you're meant to do will start to show up, but obviously have intention, have focus. I love that you're having a personal 6 year, because that is a number of harmony and connecting with others, or creating a community. So if something
mm.
like Substack, that expanding, um, I'm going to have a 3 year, which is about sort of the boss working, building. So I'm just going to, the kids here, the studio's here. I'm not writing a book at the moment. I'm knock on wood. Even I'm like afraid to pitch another book, because every idea I pitch about writing gets turned into something.
So cool.
Like everything I've written has either been optioned, turned into a movie, or a book,
That's so
and
good.
I have no writing experience. That sounds like maybe I'm being a jerk about it, but I'm just like, what? So, but I'm
Well,
like
I
in
think
a
it just
good,
goes to show you that like follow the impulses and follow the instincts. Like I've been working with this
and do
Vedic,
that work.
yeah, exactly. And I've been working with this Vedic astrologer, and it's really been like transformational for my understanding of things. And something that she's always talking about is like bold action yields results, where it's like you don't let the like you could easily be like, well, I don't have writing experience. Like who would publish my books, you know? And like, but you're
10,
not. You're just boldly being like, I think I have a book
you
idea.
you said it exactly. 10 is bold action.
Yeah.
I mean, are there going to be a couple of like jerks out there? Yeah, but who cares? Like, this is, most of the people I am either friends with, work with, and I know a lot of innately confident people, but I see more people that are a little timid of taking that risk. And this is a year of taking, it's a risk on yourself, but it's because it's like nothing's like, what's really going to fail that bad? It's not like, oh, go take, your entire life savings or this or that or the house and, go play it on a roulette wheel. It's not, this isn't
Right.
reckless. This is really coming into your own command. And the more it's interesting, because there's been such a movement with no kings. And I talked about that sort of energy of trying to say that in your mind, and people are protesting, and I'm like, wow, you've really disempowered yourself, because you've just given all of your autonomy and authority to somebody that you're like, you're a king. And it's really bad, like in the world of affirmations, like you don't say, I don't
Mm.
want to weigh 300 pounds or whatever it is, like I am tired, I don't want to be poor anymore. You say it how you want it, but this is the year for kings and queens. This is the year for, I
I
mean,
love
I'm going to
that.
say queens because there's probably five guys listening to this. So it's mostly, this is a very woman dominated world. But I still think that the motherhood, like Gina started the mothership a few years ago, really for fun, where it's not even like, oh, my identity is motherhood. The mothership was meant to be more the community of
Yeah.
people and networking and just to have something of sort of more forward thinking quote alternative or heterodox views on birth and but as a place to host all of these different ideas and little things. And it's been like a passion project of hers, but it's also great because I think the 10-year, all of us should be creating and building something. Again, it's not like we're all going to be influencers and
Mm,
stars, but it is star power. And magic teaches that every man and woman is a star. And so we're in
mm,
a new time of humanity where we really can become more empowered and do our thing. And if you
mm.
really think about it, because there's so much scarcity in the zeitgeist right now, and there's no options, everything's expensive, and it's really easy to flip into that. Um, and really, if you think about it, there's so many options and opportunities, and there's never been a better time where you could create something almost out of nothing and try to, there's careers that never existed. The list goes on. So if you really take that and just shine your light everywhere, in magic, we teach just always go towards the light. Well, the 10-year is again, that's your radiance. It's your radiant body. And it also says that your prosperity comes from your radiance. And that glow, that becomes a law of attraction. And so what are you getting? It's ultimately it's divine gifts. You are the caliber to have that divine crown. And
Also kind of echoing like the astrology that's shifting too. Like something I've been talking about on one of my shows on my Substack is I do this weekly live chat with Danny Beinstein, who's an astrologer. And, she's an astrologer and I'm like a weird cosmic translator conduit for energy where I can just like feel it coming. Like I've always had that, like I like pre-feel energy and then it comes in like 3 months. But she backed this with the astrology, which is that all these planets are moving from Pisces into Aries.
yeah,
And the Piscean kind of overlording that's happened over the past 11 years has allowed a lot of us to fall into a victim consciousness and where we feel what you described, which is like this kind of overwhelm that there's not enough opportunity or there's not enough this or there's not enough that and how whatever it is that's causing that feeling of like victimization and like mm, dimming of your capacity to engage your power is shifting. And a saying that I learned like many years ago from Cliff, who is like the Mr. Miyagi of my life, like he's a healer and just like a fucking Jedi. And years ago, he was like, your mantra needs to be no victims, only volunteers. And I remember I was saying this on a podcast, and it was like very clearly like people were not ready to hear that, and it almost
uh,
like made them mad. But when
I
the
have.
planets move into Aries, the idea of no victims, only volunteers is going to become, I'm not saying that's going to be the saying of the time, but just what that means, that's going to become the popular understanding of how we activate.
I could not agree more. I also really like her perspective because on a bigger cycle of time, we are coming out of the Piscean age as a much longer cycle.
Yeah.
And in the Hermetic magic tradition, it's also called the age of Osiris. Osiris was a god of sacrifice. The Piscean age, the sort of the high ideal kind of spiritual evolutionary formula was total surrender and devotion to like your practice, your path. That was really the golden age of monastic vows, and there would be a very great teacher, a great guru, a Buddha, Jesus type of figure that could hold the space for many. But
Hmm.
the times are different now. And, I didn't even think of I know those planets have been in Pisces and I'm kind of sick of it.
Yeah.
So, Aries, which starts a whole, that's the start of the zodiacal wheel. So we're really gonna, there's a lot of chutzpah in all of that. And we're kind of coming out of, there's too much abstract vision where the Piscean age was like sort of this abstract, huge God universe, then you're just a microcosm little dot and you just surrender and you're just a drop in that ocean and you merge. But now you realize you're the drop and you're the ocean. You're also individually empowered. In magic, this time is also called the time of the crowned and conquering child. The child being the symbol of innocence, meaning you
Mm,
being the truth of you, your
mm.
divine connection. That's what the crown is, and being able to thrive like we've never thrived before. And sort of the laws for all is prosperity. Love is the law, and that's how the planet can and should be. We're moving in those directions. It may not seem like that on a whole geopolitically, but know that that current is here, and us as individuals, if we just, jump on that ship or whatever, um, so much can be done and accomplished. But I will say
Well, you
that,
need to use your creativity to get out of the web of the geopolitical, social media, uh, whatever the fuck matrix that makes you feel like you are being crushed. Like
yeah, like
we
go.
have,
I was on X for 2 minutes yesterday, and then I'm seeing all that stuff in Australia. I'm like, what the hell? And
but
I'm
that's like,
literally reading a book written by Rob Ryder about Spinal Tap, like maybe my
stop.
favorite movie. So he's in my head. Then all of a sudden, I see like who's found with his
So
throat
sad.
slit. I don't even want to say it because I have young kids. And it's just like, whoa, everything's amplified. I I wanted to say one thing though, and I find it so interesting that years ago you talked about victim or volunteer
Hmm.
and how triggered people were by that.
Yeah.
There's a teaching in magic that is like I almost never say it because people will be so triggered, but it's the saying is the slaves shall serve. Meaning in this new framework, if you choose to be a victim, then that's at this point, it's a choice.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you draw and find examples all over the world that people are in shitty circumstances? Yes. But you can also just, what you also have your life, your incarnation, your mission. The 10 energy is you being big enough and bright enough and strong enough that you inadvertently lift those up around you as well without being a martyr. The martyr
Well, it's also like just
consciousness is
because something
dead.
bad happens to you doesn't mean you have to live there forever.
Exactly.
That's really, it's not about like, there's no such thing as a victim. And if you get like sexually assaulted, then it's your fault. That's not what it's about.
That's not what we're saying.
What we're
Yeah.
saying is things happen to you, and it's your responsibility and your job to decide what happens next.
100%.
That's all it
And
is.
this is the 10 energy is sort of this autonomy of that.
It's like a call for empowerment, really.
And the deeper teaching that I shared is more that your personal growth and evolution is still up to you. Like,
Hmm.
even if you have a great teacher, right? And I've been around these very high gurus and other teachers, I mean, from birth, literally. And they can't do the practice for you. They may
Exactly.
share those teachings, and there might be something uplifting and encouraging about their energy field. Like growing up with Swami Satchidananda, I was a kid, so I wasn't like, and I did yoga as a kid, and we had to learn to teach yoga as like age
Mhm.
7.
I love that.
But I wasn't like, I just remember all these, there are all these like corny stories that are from like the lores of India that are always like there's a rich person and a poor person. There's always a beggar and a rich person.
Uh-huh.
And it's some story about that, or one story about devotion. It's like, where are these fables of weird, ironic twists? It was like, okay, oh, you're pregnant. You have a choice. Your child can be super smart but die young, or your child could be mentally disabled and die old. Like, this is a story I remember, but they chose the short lived, brilliant child. Um, And then
What?
that child was so devoted to Lord Shiva that he lived for like, I don't know, 100 years or something. But I'm just like, I'm saying, I'm like 6, I'm listening to these stories. I'm like, what is all this about? It's still, even that feels like Piscean or Age of Osiris. There's always some weird, crappy sacrifice. We don't have to live like that anymore. The idea is that the new sort of quote Messiah is each individual's connection to their divine connection, not their ego connection, but this is very parallel to what a 10-year is about. And this cycle only happens basically every 10-ish years. So
Mm.
it's just time. You're not going to access this. I mean, you can access this energy, it's here and now, but there's a collective something about the numerology of the year that just is so true. And you've seen it because we've been tracking these cycles together since like the last 3 year, and
I
we've
mean, it's
seen it
always
all.
so true. The other thing I want to say, you just tapped into something that I think is important to say too when it comes to, I know that we're gonna air this episode after the 9 years over, but people will still be in their own individual cycles of 9 or 5 or whatever the fuck. Everyone is still gonna go through their own individual shedding or rebirthing at any time. But the thing
Exactly.
that I want to say is in regards to the ego, like I kind of described the last 4 years for me as like 10,000 ego deaths a minute, where I'm just like, there's no holding on to any one thing. Like anything you thought defined you or anything like that is just not gonna, it's like a house of cards that's gonna go away. And this year has really kind of fully solidified that, even in the past like few weeks, where there's like to be able to be really discerning and distill the parts of yourself that are your ego holding on
Right.
versus what you're called to do. Like I feel like I've kind of been like trapped in the middle of that for like this whole year of like my ego wants me to be able to do one thing, but my soul is telling me I have to do this other thing.
It-
And I'm like,
yeah.
next year is going to be this, there's going to be this window where I'm able to like understand the ego's function in that, but bring the soul more into it. Like the ego tells me you should still be doing stand-up comedy, but my soul is like, ugh. I think that
Right.
was more of just me having experience to know that I have that gift, to know that I can go on stage, to do all this stuff, to then bring it to something different. But like the other thing is that when you know you're supposed to do something that hasn't been done before in the way that you will do it, you tend to get afraid because you're trying to cling to the familiar, but there is no familiar because you're the one that's the something is trying to pull it out of you.
Well, yeah, you couldn't have said it better. I just made a video about this because we're also astrologically shifting into another slightly over 2 year cycle.
Mm,
Starting in January, I think January 9th, it could be super granular in an annoying astrological way. But
I love the granular.
the Mars conjuncting the sun and then the sun passing over Mars happens about every 2 years. So it's not every sign. The last time this happened was in Scorpio. And I had predicted, oh, this will be the rise of terrorism again, whether it's actual terrorism or just the talk of it. And now we'll have to have another police state because everyone's a terrorist. But now we're ending this cycle. We've seen horrific terrorism just happening. Now, the thing is, this new cycle is a very ambitious one, and it's Mars and Capricorn. But the Capricornian energy
Mm,
in the tarot is the devil card. And the lesson of the devil card is where you're afraid to grow. It's exactly
mm,
what you're saying because it is ultimately there's some unknown because you don't know that you're capable of at something of a much greater capacity. We've all probably experienced fear around that or uncertainty or doing something big that you haven't done. And then where it's intimidating, that intimidation, the illusion of the intimidation, which is your ego, um, is the devil card. But the devil slash Capricorn energy is really an invitation for your own liberation. And it's your
mhm.
own sort of examination But ultimately, less than knowing all the answers, it's like the 10 energy will help us with the confidence. I'll just try it. I'll just do it, right? Like,
Hmm.
whether it's the courage to just write a book. I had a client, and for years they kept talking about it and this ideas, and they were being too analytical and perfect, and this, the paralysis of analysis. Finally, they just wrote a book, and they actually have a small publishing house published it. And they're like, well, it's such a small public. I'm like, what? Like that in of itself was such a big deal because you just work through so much of your own inner stuff. And I think that you have a lot of confidence and courage. I mean, getting up on stage to do stand up, there's a natural, maybe it's just being a fool and clueless and being whatever, but that I think I learned a lot from when I did stand up because you just
Hmm.
get up in front of a crowd, and it helps me to be able to speak in public now for sure. But this will be the year to overcome those ruts and those comfort zones, that it's the illusion of fear, and you're just
Yeah.
making yourself a victim of your own sort of inertia. And however that fear will manifest in logic and totally rational, that just makes, I shouldn't do that. And I'm not saying like, okay, I'm going to jump out of a plane in a wingsuit and not a parachute and see if I could safely land, right? This isn't ridiculous, but this will be a year of tremendous growth. And I will have to say, finishing out the 9 year, like it is that purifying. You are a great example of, you were confronting and clearing those sort of ego illusions. And that's the, if you allow the 9 energy to do its thing, it's just going to burn it off, boil it off, clean it off, scrub it, whatever it is. And we're about to all be rebirthed. This is a
Yeah.
rebirth. Um, and I would like to see, I see so many people that want to do something and get so caught up in their head. And it's just try it out. You can, you'd be, Stephanie, I mean, you've figured out so much stuff as you've gone along. I mean, did you go to school for writing a show?
No.
Right. Like, but you've had things done, you've had things sold, right? Like you've done things. Like it was
Yeah,
just
it's been
saying,
a lot of years of just doing things kind of. It's funny because I've had like accomplishments these past few years, like selling a show to like a big network and doing development and all that is like a fucking like that's far down the line of what many people get to in the industry, right? Like it's not getting a show on air, but it's like it's a big thing, but it wasn't for me like me doing it. So I never really felt like I could like fully like celebrate that because it just felt like, oh, it's just this thing I'm doing like behind closed doors.
right,
But I'm glad that you're saying the thing about like taking the risk to just do it because I think that is like such a common theme of, and I go through this myself of not only it's over analyzing, but it's almost like the painter trying to define the painting instead of
yeah,
just painting the painting. Like
right,
it's not up to the artist or the creator to like tell you what it means. It's up to the person receiving it to interpret it and feel it how they want. And like some of the greatest works of art have had an impact that was not intended by the artist themselves. They don't even know why it is that they're painting this thing. It's just coming out of them. And so a big part of my like ego reorientation or like letting things go is like I don't have to concern myself with like what it means or what it looks like. I just need to do it.
right. What's your moral message here? And like
What's
it's
my
like,
brand or like what am I saying or whatever the
I
fuck? Like I'm so
that
done with that.
that paradigm too is like completely over.
Yeah.
Just like the, really it's the end of the millennial in the sense of millennials, I feel like really mastered refinement culture, branding. It was the first time in history that everybody had access to sort of becoming themselves and somehow monetizing that in some way, even if it was sort of disingenuous. Um, but now the more just genuine you are, And the more you let that light shine and take action in that direction, it's not just about, it's just think of the radiance. That means you have a very giving energy. You can't thwart that by stifling yourself and not being creative in some way. And maybe it's for you, it's just redoing your apartment or your home or whatever the case is. Like that's for each individual. Not everyone's like you and I have done stand up, we've written things, right? So we're just in this particular world, or we share about it and we podcast. But this, it's just I think the illusion of perfection has to end for
Mm-hmm.
everybody. And but I think this will be one of the greatest moments in history where on a new, true, and pure level, us as individuals could just create something based on who we are. But the bigger your sort of capacity and your frequency and your velocity, well, then that'll just go bigger. Some people naturally attune to that. And some people, it takes a little more work. You know, I have to do a little more inner work and do practices and mantras and things like that. But it's a time to share, and it again, you will naturally uplift others, because I'm saying it now because a lot of people get so diminished and never do anything with their lives because they're so worked up about all the tragedies in the world, and but they're not doing anything to help one person. Like I see these idiots here in Vermont, and they're protesting and no kings and blah blah blah, and it's like the same old sad story where I'm like, well, now you've disempowered yourself. Oh, wow. You're a baby boomer and you bought 50 acres of land back in the 80s for like $30,000 or less in Vermont. You have your chunk, you have everything. And now, like, just why don't you just either put your energy into your own growth or your community? Like, just
Mm-hmm.
do something to better those around you, bring light to people. And I'm not saying, are there going to be douchebags out there trying to convert people and postulate? And will we see another resurgence of what I call I am the one? Like, there's always some idiot who all of a sudden they, go on a weird trip or something. They do one meditation, they smoke some frogs or something. And now they think they're like the next prophet of all humanity. I've seen those people, and we will have a little resurgence of that, but I think it won't really matter, because when you're aligned with that, just confident, it's like if you're truly an alpha energy, which is what the 10 is, you have no fear of threat. That's
Mm-hmm.
the society misinterprets it, thinking you got to be like all buff and, chin up, chest out type of thing. And it's like the most calm, peaceful, relaxed energy because you're so secure within yourself. That's the 10 energy. It's one of its highest iterations or ideals. So when you're that calm about you, all you're going to naturally do is encourage others to be in their greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually is like, can be a profoundly laid back, confident energy. Like they've done tests, studies on stress responses in humans and baboons.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually the mega big, baboons, these can be vicious animals, but what they realize is that all the stress hormones, the sort of mega alpha baboon didn't have them really, because there is no fear of threat. Now,
Mm-hmm.
sure, baboons might be like trying to rule through some dominion over others, but this is a time for you to not to let go your fear of threat, and really you're the one probably threatening yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would encourage everybody, your homework for 2026 is to do the thing that you keep thinking about, that you are either embarrassed, shy, scared, whatever it is. It not always has to be about the public spotlight, but a bigger undertaking. Also, the small undertakings, but this is the year. Just do something big, whatever that is for you. You could be a new inspiration, but especially the thing that's just been lingering. I've always wanted to do that. And I like I just I would love to see people shine because the negative side of 10, it's all or nothing. So go
Mm,
all in on your light, but then it can be, you could easily fall to the zero. I'm a number one or I'm a total zero loser failure.
mm,
Like I have a lot of tens in my numerology, and for a lot of my life, I felt like, man, I should be doing something bigger, meaning ultimately my purpose.
hmm.
But here I am, whether I got totally lost years ago in drugs or something, but it's like lying in bed thinking, I should be doing more than I'm doing, but I'm not. And then
Hmm.
kept not, right? I kept zeroing myself. So use that zero to multiply everything you don't want in your life, multiply it by zero. It's going to go away real fast.
Mm.
And how do you dissipate all those problems? Is standing in your radiance and your confidence.
You
And
know,
there's a real peace to be had.
something is also important to say, like, I think we use words like star and radiance and shining and all these things and artistic and it is like we do live in this world where everyone's like, well, should I start a podcast or whatever? Like, should I, and I think it's important to say that like shining doesn't always mean it's not or like creating doesn't always mean like being an artist. It's like life is a
Or an
creative
influencer.
act.
Yeah, exactly.
And like it's whatever your thing is, whatever lane of the world, even if you're like, well, I'm just an accountant, it's like, okay, well, what's like the best version of your life as an accountant? Like, how can, like, if you're not, unless you're just happy with that, like, that's great. But like, if you're like, I'm an accountant, but I kind of want to like mix it up or spice it up, it's like, how can you take that thing that you do with you into a place where you're creating the life that you want, right? Like, stepping outside of the box of, showing up in the way that you show up that's making you feel like monotonous or stuck or whatever it is, like just because your job is something that's like linear doesn't mean your life has to be something that's predictable or known from like past paradigm. Like you could fucking be an accountant living on the beach in Portugal, taking your fucking doing your shit in a beautiful place. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just an example, but like your life is yours to create. And that's what I think you're speaking to more than just like shine your light and be a star. It's like be the
Uh,
star of your own story. What does that mean to you?
right. This is the kingdom. This is your kingdom. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, you have to be an influencer, but it's like we've all just encountered people that there's something about them. They could just, work at a shop you go in or whatever, and something about their vibe.
Yeah,
We've all met just radiant and noble people that
totally.
maybe the outward is what society would judge as a diminished position or something. Yeah, this is about you embracing your life, loving it, and just having like, this is the year to create the life you want.
Yeah.
And I listen, I'm like, oh, accounting. Like sometimes I fantasize where I just could do something behind the scenes and just make or create. Like, could I, I'm making carvings or a crafty thing, in a shed somewhere and not talk to anybody.
Mm.
Like I have those moments. I'm like, oh, that would be nice. Like right now we do all our numerology reports and I'm always like, Gina, if I fold them, that's the only time I get to like work and not have to like put, myself out there. I could just
Yeah.
put my hat. I used to wash dishes years ago and I sort of liked it. I was called the Zen dishwasher, and I had to
Yes.
carry, it was one of my first jobs, and I had to carry these bus pans. I was like 18, 19, up the stairs. I mean, it was crappy, laborious, hard work, and you're wet and soggy. Um, but I just like, I don't know, I just embraced it and I kind of loved it. Sometimes I just want to like wash dishes or whatever, but
I
um
totally crave doing something with my hands.
yeah, that I think, but that's a creative thing you should lean into this year. There's something I want to learn this year for my own enjoyment. And this year I'm going to do, I don't want to say what it is yet because I don't want to dissipate the energy. And I'm not doing it with any intent. Like, Oh, I've taken a couple of writing classes now because I want to be better at writing since I actually write books.
Yeah.
But this is just something I want to do for fun.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, we don't have to constantly monetize everything, but there is
That's
a way.
also really important to say.
Um, yeah, because and I'm glad you brought up what you brought up because, people listening to us, they may misconstrued that we're encouraging everyone to be an influencer, put yourself out there. Like, doesn't like this is just you creating the kingdom and the life as you have it, what you want. Magic teaches you really have one career. You have one
Hmm.
profession, and that's you, sort of the evolution of your soul, your sort of spiritual evolution, whatever that means for you. But spirituality is the whole of your life. So it's not like, well, I have to have this totally aligned job where I'm a healer and this and that and a podcaster slash influencer. And influencers over too. It's funny because the 10-year was probably a real rise and the beginning of the end. And I'd say it ends. It's been over, but the 10 years is going to be like, I don't know. There's just a creative individual surge. Maybe we'll
What
see
I
more
hope is
art.
that like the age of the influencer in quotes
Yeah.
goes away, but people who have influence in the sense of like they're thought leaders, they're uh doing something that's really actually grounded and rooted and has the capacity to inspire and like be influential. Um, I hope that that can shine through, not but and that the noise of everyone who's like an influencer with a course and telling you to do something like stops. Like
Well,
I'm just
right.
so
But take
done
my
with like
classes. Yeah, but
I
I
mean
know
no,
exactly what you mean.
but like you're someone that I wouldn't say is like a false teacher. You're a real teacher. You have lived experience, you have real knowledge. Like this isn't like you took a weekend course or you like went through a divorce and so now you're like a relationship expert or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, and yeah, I know everyone listening knows exactly what you mean, but the whole courses thing too, it's like, it
not
seems
everyone needs to
crazy.
have like a method or a class. Like it's just like I think it's just so like the market is saturated with people who don't actually live embodied integrated realities telling other people how to live their life. And it's like we have to come back to the guru that lives within us before we can discern what's worth listening to and what is just stupid bullshit.
I mean, we're in the we'll see a little golden age resurfacing of a golden age of charlatans for sure. But also, I think that a lot of people have learned a lot of lessons and there's a lot more discernment. On the tree of life, the number 10, one of the spiritual practices is discernment. Well, it's the old language is discrimination. So don't confuse that anything about race, but you need to discriminate. You need to be able to discern, is this total fucking BS or is this something real and true for me? And
Yeah.
also, if you're really seeking something deeper and more spiritual, I always tell people just lean into things that you're attracted to at first and you'll be guided into the thing that's for you. Are there some, I mean, there's definitely tons of con artists with these fake, it's like get rich quick courses about just sell a course to get rich quick and tell people, well, just sell that course about getting rich quick. It's
Hmm.
like also a lot of people are so fucking lazy. This is the timelines, the energy, the Capricorn cycle of the Mars and Capricorn cycle, the 10-year. This is not for the lazy. And so like we are past the point of trying to over process everything. Like we're done.
Hmm.
The 9-year was like our last stop for that in a sense. It doesn't mean you're not going to process things. It doesn't mean you're going to have your own inner work, okay? But I just know too many people that still are not doing anything because they're still trying to figure out what they're supposed to do. And I'm like, you're just too old. Just start doing some things. Like, but the
Hmm.
everything's more impactful now. It's the energy is really sort of it's escalated, I think, in an inspiring and good way. So if you just start these processes and just go and start where you're at and what's in
Hmm.
front of you, you don't have to know your end goal. It's always going to change anyhow. And So I think it's pretty hopeful, but the energy, it's just like we're stepping on a jet and it wants to go places, and it's
Mm,
just not a good time to be like, oh shit, I forgot my wallet, I forgot my passport. Like this 9 year was the time to prepare, to purify, to get rid of the stuff. But 10 is less like intellectual, analytical. It's really embodying, doing, and being.
I
And
love that.
and when you and the greater your capacity is, bigger opportunities will come from you. But the more radiant you are on some level, again, not you have to go move to LA and be an actor. There are people are going to move to LA every single year forever to become actors, and some are going to make it big time. This isn't about wish fulfillment. And think about what you can share, because
Mhm.
the teaching is not, the misnomer is like the empire or the kingdom serves the queen and the king. It's that the king and queen completely serve the kingdom. So your kingdom, how are you being of greater service to your life? That starts to ripple out into your being of service to everyone else.
Mhm.
So it's a very sort of generous and giving energy. Even if you're flat broke and have like a negative bank account, you could still interact and leave all of your exchanges where there were the bigger, more giving energy in a sense. I don't mean in a competitive way, but it's like, those people, just you interact and you're like, man, I feel a little better about my day. And we're just like, hey, how's it going, Jim? Or whatever.
I mean, the best way to like increase your radiance is literally to spend time in nature.
I think that's a great idea, especially now that I live in nature. I
But
can
like I
forest
noticed that
bathe.
my energy shifted so dramatically and my just everything has changed so much for me in the sense of like I used to be such a city cat and would maybe like go to Runyon Canyon or something for my nature. And then I moved to the mountains and have lived in like the woody areas outside of LA now for the past 5 years. And nothing has made me feel more like I can feel my own energy in spaces and I feel more connected to spirit and I feel just more like the radiance of just being alive, I feel like resonates in my body more because I'm connecting with something that is just
Alive.
alive and true and is is its own radiance in an egoless, completely nature doesn't make you prove itself to it and it doesn't try to prove itself to you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because even though we live in a rural place now, and it's not like we're totally isolated or anything, but and I love cities, but when I first moved out of LA and then we were living on Lake Champlain, where our house was right on the lake, which is just vast. It just goes all the way up into Canada, and um it my I realized it took me about a year for my nervous system to reset, because I had instilled a lot of concern and fear, because the last like year of LA for us was like seeing, riots happen in our neighborhood. And then it was like I realized the crime got so crazier, and
Mm-hmm.
that on that Citizens app, I'm like, oh, there's another gunpoint robbery right on Ogden and Fairfax, which is basically where we lived. Or I mean, sorry, Rosewood and Fairfax. We used to live over in Ogden, but by what is it, Fairfax High over there. And like you just normalize that. And I would just
Mm-hmm.
store it in my body, and the relief of being like, wait, I'm just going outside. And it wasn't like I walked around I guess what I'm trying to say is I didn't realize it, because, oh, okay, yeah, you got to just be on your guard in a city anyway. But I didn't realize how much on my guard I was normalized.
Totally.
And I normalized it, and it was in my like cellular structure, because it was like, oh, I didn't know I was like so oppressed. I was oppressing myself so much. So the
When I moved to
nature,
Topanga, I literally cried for like 3 days and I didn't understand why. I wasn't like sad. It was like my nervous system was finally letting go.
yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. And again, I love the sort of life and social energy of cities, but it's good to like be able to do all of it. But look how we started. I kept saying the 9 year could get weird, and then all of a sudden those five, the place that you used to live in burnt down, but it was our friend had moved in.
So
And we
weird.
found out, and that was like, wait, that was Stephanie's old house that our friend had just moved into, and then it burnt down. I
Super
mean,
weird.
we know so many people that lost their homes.
Yeah, it's really sad. I actually drove up to the house kind of recently and it was just like it was like so emotional and just so hard to process that like where I gave birth to Asher and where we lived for like, my entire pregnancy and the first 6 months of his life, it's just foundation now. Like there's nothing there.
Yeah, I
Like I
can't.
was standing on the side of the house in the corner where I gave birth, and it was just nothing.
Yeah, it was just like intense and weird. And we'd been in Vermont. We just had so many friends. Like my phone was, I'm not making it about me. My phone was just going off the hook. And I was like finishing my last book. And I was like, God, this is like, it's really hard to focus. And then
Hmm.
some of our friends that we had recently visited were like, they lost everything. They happened to have like they managed to get out with their car and their lives and whatnot. And I don't know, that was like such an intense way. And I was like, Jesus Christ, we're starting the year of the purifying intelligence. Like, I don't know, some purification, whether it's by fire, water, that was just intense. And I also feel like, um, and I can't make it about me, but it's like I think LA I've heard is like the throat chakra of the world because it's like the media center of the world. So like the ripple of psychological ripple effect of that, I think actually hits the whole planet. And I almost feel bad saying that in the sense because so many people I knew personally been over their houses or knew them well, lost everything but they're alive, you know. So yeah, it's stuff, but God, I couldn't imagine my friends with kids to be like, no, you know, Isaiah loves our house so much. He'll just be like, Dad, I love our house.
Oh, it's so cute.
And but you know, and I'm gonna show him because he was born in a different house. And next spring, I'm gonna bring Isaiah. I'm gonna show him like where he was born and by the lake and but it's funny because he was born there. We moved when he was a couple months old, and he goes, "Oh yeah, Dad, the lake with all the ducks." And I was like, "What?" Because that's the only place I really ever saw ducks was on Lake Champlain.
They're
And
so smart. It's so psychotic.
he just knew. He was like, "Oh yeah, the lake with all the ducks." And I'm like, "We left. You were just a couple months old."
No, they're so like I can't. Azra's intelligence blows my fucking mind.
Yeah, it's fun. It's wild. I mean, I know a lot of parents are listening. Also, you're gonna love having a girl. I loved having a boy so much. And I realized, wait a minute, there's so much sort of guy, man, boy energy in me that I was able to just connect with and express more. And the boy energy is just a lot of fun. And there's like an adventurous spirit that's very true and I'm really excited to see how all of this evolves with having a girl, but I already feel and like see the differences of like what she's
Hmm.
already drawn to. But I have you'll probably have an Aquarius and a Pisces.
Unless she comes early.
I think you're gonna have an Aquarius.
Yeah, I think so too.
I loved having a boy, and when Gina was pregnant, when we found out she was pregnant, we were both like, we kind of just knew if we had another kid, it would be a girl.
Hmm.
But then I started thinking, well, the boy has been so fun. Then he'll have his bro. And then even part of me on a practical, like talk about diminishing. I was like, oh, if they ever need to share a room, that would be easier because really we have like a 3 bedroom house. So then and I still want to have a guest room, but like I realized like it is what it is. Like, why should I have to hold back? Like, oh, let's strategize having a boy so they could share a room. I know that sounds so ridiculous, but I also was so
Well,
ready
it's just
to
one of these funny things that we always think we can control anything that happens when it comes to childbirth, but it's just ridiculous.
exactly. Or when there people, I'll have people ask me like, "Well, what's a good time for conception and what's the best astrological sign to have?" I'm like, there's a higher plan with these souls, so they're gonna, because my brand of numerology, Isaiah was born February in 2022, so everybody's like, "Oh, he's gonna be born 2/2/2022," because that would be so. My joke is like, "Oh yeah, that would be so on brand."
Mm.
My kid's birthday is like 2/2/20, 2/2/2/2. But also a ton of planets were retrograde and all went direct, all right before the fifth.
Wow.
Um, so he was like, also, I wasn't gonna try to force it. We weren't gonna like induce a labor or anything like that. There's like a whole cosmic connection, but you're gonna it's going to be great. And you're going to have a little girl and you're going to love it. And everything's going to go smooth. And all of us, this is our year. This is the fruit. This is the birth. Our labors are paying off in the 10-year.
Let's do this.
So you are amazing. I got to send you guys your reports. And
Yes, I'm dying to know it.
yeah, well, the six is going to make so much sense for you.
I really hope so.
And that's also a little nice energy to step into your place more as a teacher
Mm-hmm.
and how you're just sharing also like your gifts and knowledge, even if it's like um, sharing other people's talents too and what you do. But you'll see, it'll make sense. I'm really happy. It's going to be a year of new bonds, deeper connections, and a bigger network on some level of your life.
I love that.
So everybody, happy 10-year. Stephanie Simbari, they should hop on your Substack.
Yeah, so it's just
That's your
Stephanie.
main output, right? And you have
Yeah,
podcasts
I've
on
just been
there and
putting
you're
energy
writing.
into that, and I'm gonna do a whole, I've changed the name like so many times, but it's just been a, ongoing evolution, but I'm gonna do a whole rebrand. I'm working on it right now.
How much Gemini is in your chart? Or is this your three
Well,
soul?
my Vedic moon is in Gemini.
Oh, there we go. Gemini
So
likes
like
to
in
name.
Vedic astrology, I'm technically a Gemini.
Okay, so you're crazy lady. No, I'm kidding. I love Gemini energy, but yeah, I joke, but those are symptoms of Gemini.
But like in Western, it's my Chiron, is in Gemini.
The wounded, the
Yeah.
wounded information giver.
But I'm also with a Gemini.
Oh
So
yeah. Well, he is very Gemini.
yes, ultimate. He's like the poster child.
Well, it's a very interesting history, so he's a lot to share. I hope
It's
he's
true.
writing a lot.
Yeah, he is. We've been collaborating too, which is super cool.
And I know he's like head over heels. I know he's super excited about. He was excited in that reading.
I know. He's like, I want to have a bunch of kids. I'm like, you're gonna have to find another woman.
Two is good. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Um, two feels good. You're gonna be super
There's
psyched.
no
So,
room in my heart for more than two children.
well, I thought that with one kid, I literally was like, I love Isaiah so much. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to, like, what if this is like so Scorpio too? And then I'm like, oh, okay. And the kids get along great. She's even like, she's not speaking, but she's like, ba 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 ba. And she's trying to say brother. It's
Oh,
like so adorable. So I'm really happy for you guys.
thank
Everybody, this
you.
10-year, we are going to shine big and let's go big. Let's just all, whatever that is for all of us as individuals. And
Let's
well, obviously,
fucking
we're
go
in
big.
touch all the time. And yeah, I'll send you those reports. I
Thank
love
you for
you.
having
Love for the
me.
family. And I'll see you next year.
See you next year.
Let thy soul be
Bye,
awakened.
Stephanie.
Bye.